Of late, Donald Trump's response to the whole affair and to question certainly is to dismiss it. You know, we've been through the pleading almost with Republicans to stop talking about the Epstein affair. We had Donald Trump railing on social media and indeed publicly against Republicans, the MAGA base, others who continually protested about this non-release of the files. So he's worked through that. Latterly, he'd gone rather quiet on it, and indeed on this trip, we'd heard him dismissing questions, dismissing the notion that it had any significance at all. There, you know, he elaborated on the affair, took questions, answered questions, and he spoke about a number of things, actually. The Wall Street Journal, you remember, it published this report of a letter, which it had seen, we've not seen it. It was a drawing, hand-drawn figure of a woman with Donald signed, a squiggly signature of Donald beneath the waist. He said in response to that, I don't do drawings. But then, of course, the media produced drawings that he had indeed done and had drawn, hand-drawn for charity. So that was a question that needed answered. It was answered today by him, and his response is, I don't do drawings. Sometimes I draw buildings with straight lines, but I don't draw women. That knocks the story on. So he's rejecting the notion that because we have seen hand drawings from Donald Trump, that necessarily had anything to do with anything that was in Jeffrey Epstein's possession. He made the point that if his opponents had had anything on him with regard to Epstein in the files, they would have used it on the guy, he said. He spoke about Jeffrey Epstein, the fallout that he had with him, and how Jeffrey Epstein, according to Trump, had been kicked out of Mar-a-Lago. The reason for that, he gave, was that he stole people that worked for me. He said, and he said this before, but he repeated it, I never went to Jeffrey Epstein's island, which of course is where much of the crime took place. Bill Clinton did it 28 times, and he reeled off a number of names that he encouraged the media to go and quiz about Epstein. So that essentially was him addressing the Epstein affair at greater length than we have heard for some time. Jane, very interesting indeed. And of course, as Rob was touching on, and indeed yourself, the two main lines internationally in terms of pressing world affairs, the Russia line. He's going to give Vladimir Putin 10 or 12 days, he says now, to end the war in Ukraine. I'll announce it probably tonight or tomorrow. There's no reason to wait, he said. I don't know why he's waiting for tonight or tomorrow. But on Gaza, he acknowledged the humanitarian suffering, said that I want to make sure they get the food. He'd been in touch with Benjamin Netanyahu. They are coming up with various plans, he said, called it a very difficult situation for the Israelis. If they didn't have the hostages, things could go very quickly. But they do, speaking about the hostages being held by Hamas. So Keir Starmer will be encouraged by that. He spoke himself about the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. He wants action by the US president on that. He seems to be pushing at an open door. And on Russia too, Starmer wants Trump to lean more heavily on Putin. He seems to be getting what he wants on that score as well.
James, thank you very much for that. Well, as James was mentioning there, Gaza did come up quite a lot during that press conference. Some of the other important things I think the President said, he said, it is real starvation stuff. I see it. You can't fake that. And we know the President's fondness for talking about fake news. He called it a human catastrophe and explained that America was going to try to set up some food centres. He says, I want them to make sure, talking about the Israelis, that they get every ounce of food. That food isn't being delivered, not all of it. So criticism there. He said he's having conversations with Benjamin Netanyahu at the moment. And his comments come as the United Nations is warning that children there are wasting away and that much more aid is needed to save as many lives as possible. Jordan and the UAE have become the first nations to drop aid into Gaza since Israel agreed to partially lift its blockade of the occupied territory. Our correspondent Sally Lockwood has the latest from an airbase in Jordan, where they are preparing more flights.
The situation is now so desperate in Gaza, and there's been such international pressure on Israel to ease the humanitarian restrictions there that these foreign aid drops began.